Let's see, today we try to get the deep understanding on Newton's law. The first law is about inertia. In his Principia, Newton writes, every body preserves in its state of rest or of uniform motion in a right line, unless it is compelled to change that state by forces impressed thereon. Okay? What it means is a mass keeps moving in the same direction at the same speed if there is no force applied. Okay. Now, if physics teacher said that's the law, then you can't argue. You have to accept it. But at least you can give some question. If Newton noticed gravity by observing the apple falling, what did he observe to notice the first law? You know, the first law is kind of unusual. It is very hard to observe anything that is moving at a constant speed on Earth. Everything under gravity and friction, you can't observe anything like that. In fact, when Newton wrote the Principia, he was confined himself in a house and stayed there for 2-3 weeks to write it up. So he set this law not based by the observation or experiment. Obviously, he came up with the idea. Okay? And why is this the first law? This question you should ask to a physics teacher when you learn this first time. Newton's second law, you know, F equals ma. If, as Newton said, there's no force, acceleration 0. If you integrate a, you have c, which is initial velocity vc. So we have the constant speed. Why do we need the first law? The second law, F equals ma, already implies that there was the constant speed in the beginning without any force. Okay, you have to be very careful about this. This is math, okay? And math doesn't dictate the physical law. Does nature follow calculus? Who knows when you do calculus? Is that the way nature behaves? We don't know. So when we know how much acceleration is produced by a force, how do we know mass motion when there is no force? Is it constant motion even in the expanding universe? Is anywhere in the universe is that constant motion? We don't know, right? So the first law and the second laws are telling us that nature behaves according to the calculus result. Well, I think this was a motivation for Newton to say, hey, you know, I have a very good math tool called calculus, and when I use it, I can predict very well the orbit of, you know, the moon and Mars and everything else. So nature must be following this law. So my speculation here, it cannot confirm. Newton set the first law to make it work, to make the math works. The first law is not the result of observing nature. He didn't observe. He was confined himself in a house for 3 weeks to write up this Newton's law. So obviously he made it work with the math tool he knows. He was lucky. Yes. But it's not true. You know, right now the Einstein special relativity theory, if you add V1 and V2, it's not necessary, okay, this is not the sum of the speed. Math breakdown. The nature doesn't behave like a math tells us, okay? So we are living within the Earth's gravity and Sun's gravity. Human cannot escape from the Sun's gravity field. With the present technology, nothing moves according to the first law. But satellite orbit orbiting Earth, there is a fake force, centripetal force, and that's cancel the gravity. So inside the space station, you can experience no force around, and inside the space station, things move, then it keep moving, just like Newton predicted. How lucky he is. He never seen space station, but actually you could observe that inside the space station. Well, that was correct because his math worked very well with that assumption for various phenomena. Okay, so that's how sometimes the physical law is created. I hope you enjoy listening this, and please check other videos if you like. Click subscribe.